Yeah, welcome to the continuation of our first tutorial on meta modeling, episode number 3. We had defined a very simple version of the entity relationship model with entity type, relationship type, at domain attributes of entity types, and some predefined domains like integer, string, and date. And now let's use it for defining some entity types and relationship types. That's the current state of the definition here. So let's define our first instance of entity type, like customer. So customer is an instance of entity type, and it has the following attributes. So note that we use here the attribute defined for entity type, atra. And the first one is called name, the name of the customer, and the second one is called address, the address of the customer. Both use the domain string here. Let's tell that, so that should work. And well, our application is, let's say, an insurance application, and we define now a policy, an insurance policy with a start date, an end date, and a premium. Premium is a number, an integer number, and start date and end date are both dates. Now, our customer is the holder of such a policy, so we can define holds as an instance of relationship type, and it has two row links. So one row link called customer points to the customer entity type, and the second one points to policy. So let's tell that. That should work. And we have two more, like claim and claim policy. So let's define it. Oops, I made a little mistake. So claim is the claim that the insurance should be applied to a certain case, and the claim policy is linking a claim. Claim policy relationship is linking a claim to a policy. The customer that claims that he or she should be compensated for some damage. So let's tell that. So note that all these definitions, like claim, policy, and holds, and the claim underscore policy relationship type are all at the class level. So they constitute an entity relationship model. Let's visualize that now. So we go back to our graph editor, already prepared to start from the definition of entity relationship, of the entity relationship model. So now we do have some entity types. So let's see whether we have some instances. Indeed, we have these 3 instances. The green links here indicate instantiations. The black links indicate attributes or links. They are all directed. So entity type is a class of these 3 entity types: claim, customer, and policy. We should have 2 relationship types, and these are the 2 relationship types. Now they are linked to the entity types. Let's visualize all of them. You can draw a rectangle around that, and then all the objects in that rectangle are selected, and then you can press this connection operator that shows all the links between the selected objects. So that will search the database, and then it will complete these links. So we see that the hold relationship is between customer and policy, and the claim policy is between claim and policy. Yeah, so that's an example entity relationship model. We are not yet using the graphical notation here. Next step would be to define some example data. So instances of customer, instances of policy, holds, and maybe of the other entity types and relationship types. So let's go back to the Telos editor and define some examples. So here we declare Mary to be a customer with no further attributes. So note that the customer didn't have any attributes so far, or did it have? Oh, it did have a name and address, but we are not forced here to define attributes. They are not. They are by default. They are optional, not mandatory. Policy 1 is the first instance of policy. It has a start date, like this one, and it has a premium, like that one. And then we have another instance of the second relationship type, holds, so that links Mary to this policy 1. So let's tell that. And now switch back to the graphical view. Under current connection, we can validate and update the shown object, just that it is synchronized with the updated database. So let's enlarge this window a little bit and see whether we have some instances like holds. Indeed, we have holds 1, and if we show the attributes here, we see that Mary is a customer, and she holds policy 1. So let's see whether policy 1 is an instance of policy. We right-click on policy 1 and the instance of, and indeed it's an instance of policy. I select the two objects and show it. So it's an instance of policy. The same here. Select with the shift button the two object customer and Mary, and then indeed Mary is an instance of customer. So if we now show the whole window, we see 3 levels of objects. We have at the lowest level of abstractions actual data like representation of Mary, representation of the policy, and representation of the relationship between the two. This is the model level or schema level. That is an example entity-relationship model, so simple classes, so to speak. And above that are meta classes. So Mary is an instance of customer, and customer is an instance of entity type. So we call entity type then the meta class of Mary. It's 2 abstraction levels above Mary. Yeah, that is almost the end of the episode. If you want to store this graph, you can use under File, Save, and then, for example, select Desktop, and then store it under ER, like my ERD1, and then you save it, and then it shows up here. Then you can later load that into a new graph editor, and all the data will be restored. So let's stop the system by now. And well, if you open that, it's pre-configured here to open it with a CB graph. program. Then it will start CBGraph. It will connect to the CB server. It will load all the sources, and then you have the graph window. And if you start CB-IVAR, the textual user interface, you see that all the different definitions are preserved. So the graph file, the _GEL, the GEL file, has the content of the database included, and it will be stored to the server as soon as you start up this file again. Okay, thank you. That's all.